We're recording and we are live streaming. I did speak with Sheriff yesterday. He said he might be running late and might need to join on Zoom.
I'm working in January, don't we?
These fifth weeks will get you, they'll get you in trouble.
Wow, we needed an extra week because all the 1099s and W2s and everything has to be out by the January.
Oh, do they? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, this is not much fun. Finally got mine done.
It's a tough time. We've been trying to get
I
the
know.
market survey out for the wage study, and I told Amy, so don't worry about it. No one who's gonna receive this survey is sitting there ready to receive it, right? We need to get W or 1099s out. And W2. So Sheriff has joined us on Zoom. I don't know if you want to maybe
Want to move him
move
up?
past Mark, unless Mark is with Sheriff.
We could do that.
They
It's-
both. Good morning, Sheriff.
I got 9 o'clock, so at this time, I'd like to call to order the Criminal Justice and County Affairs Committee. We'll start with the approval agenda. We can move the sheriff up. First, he's gonna talk on the Motorola or at the very last livestock emergency.
Well, actually,
Both of them.
2 and 3. Mhm.
Okay. So we'll go, if there's no objection, we'll do it 2 and 3, then do 1 for the end. Okay, with that, unanimous consent on that, we will do a call to the public. Is there any call to the public? Later, okay. Mr. Hausman, no. Okay, is there anybody online?
There is not at this
Okay.
time, Mr. Chairman.
There will be an opportunity toward the end of the meeting for a call to the public, for public comment. So moving right along, we'd like to go with consider item number 5 on our agenda, consider approving the payment to Motorola Milestone 2 in the amount of $439,746.80 for the radio tower project. We have the sheriff online.
Morning.
Good morning,
Morning.
Sheriff.
So this is another milestone in the beginning of this project, which is again, just to recap, a $4.8 million allocation that is 100% dedicated to this project, can't be used for anything else. During this project, there'll be milestones which relate to payments. The plan that we put together is to receive these milestone invoices, to submit them to the Board of Commissioners for approval for payment out of that $4.8 million appropriation, which is in our budget this year, which shows up in our budget line item. And then once we pay Motorola electronically, we get an instant receipt that it's paid. We submit that immediately to the portal for the state of Michigan, or DTMB, which is their financial piece at the state. They turn around and reimburse us those funds. So there's always concern about operating capital and so forth during these big payments. So we try to turn them around within a few days and get that money back into the general fund accounts. So this is the second milestone we've had. We'll have a few more of these, obviously, as we move forward. To my understanding, the equipment has been delivered. It's stored currently at our local vendor, which is Procom Inc. That has been inventoried. We are currently waiting for a couple of things to transpire. One is to get a cement slab and some site work done, everything's been approved. We did have a hiccup in the tall structure approval. I think it was more of a technical error, and then it came through fine. So all things said, I think we're moving along pretty good. We just need to get this slab of cement down and some site work at Central Dispatch. We do have a generator spec'd out that will replace the generator, and I think Facilities has plans to use the current generator that's there, maybe at the MSP post, and then repurposing the one that's there and moving some things around. So we're kind of coordinating all that during the operation of moving that stuff in. The actual box that we got for $1 that was so expensive that houses all the widgets and gadgets into it, us having some work done onto it. An air conditioning unit and things need to replace, so that's in progress as well. So just milestone 2, and we're submitting for payment.
Just a quick question on more or less the timing. I see that February 11th, is the timing going all right on payments and stuff as far as when you submit? I know we'll be, our next meeting, we'll still have a week to go yet, but is the flow gonna be all right on the rest of the project, or if there's any delays or anything? I know.
Right, the first one we submitted, and they were, the state, both DTMB and MPSCS, which is the communications piece or piece of the state, and Motorola, they all knew or were very aware. We've had multiple conversations about getting the reimbursement as quickly as possible. The first milestone we did was in a few days, basically, and we got it right back. Obviously, there's a lot of working pieces there, and I don't control any of them, but they did come through for us the first time. So it is my intent that that'll happen again, or my hope. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't, but I don't believe it's going to be a problem, but I'm not going to say 100% that I can make that happen.
Okay, I want to make sure everything's moving smoothly on this process, so.
But the first one went way smoother than I thought was going to go. It really did go quickly from start to finish, and that was good for all of us. So hopefully that is the plan for this next round.
I don't have any further questions. Make a motion, I move forward the consideration approving the payment to Motorola of milestone 2 in the amount of $439,746.80 for the radio tower project.
I will support that. Is there any more discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say. The motion has passed.
Did I miss?
No, I thought I heard some comment back there, nine back there.
Just hammering.
Okay, so that has passed, and we'll move that forward to the work session. So, next up, we got consider approving the Gratiot County Livestock Emergency Response Trailer and Team Mutual Aid Agreement, and authorize the board chairperson to sign the same. Sheriff.
So this was something that Gratiot County, Region 1 Homeland Security, I think, worked on this as well. This is through MSU Extension down there. They were able to get a grant and purchase a livestock trailer. It's a little misconceiving. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a trailer to put livestock in and drive them around like we've had the need in the past. This livestock trailer actually comes with gates and fencing and ropes and management of herds and cattle and livestock and horses and whatever else. So in the event that there was a need, they would bring this trailer up to us to help corral, cage, or catch loose animals that are on us and stray and at large. It's no cost out of the county's pocket at all. It's a mutual aid agreement with no financial obligations to reimburse them for anything. I did speak with MMRMA, which is our risk management folks. They insure Gratiot County as well, so there's no additional concerns for liability on either party's end. So that was good. It really is just a bunch of equipment that's available to us. If we sign this, they'll come up and help us if we need it.
Nothing like Jason Cattle at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? You've been there, done that.
I've been there and I have done that lots of times, yes.
So, and he said, really don't have no comments, well needed. Like I said, they'll have gates in there to corral them in, and it can be quite a process hauling cattle that are, especially steers that get out, so.
Well, I know we've had in the past, we've had, you know, some wild horses and stuff, and they're pretty hard to wrangle. So, you know, all the equipment and supplies we can get, certainly well welcomed.
And thank you, Gratiot County.
Mhm.
And the danger of a car hitting a 1,200-pound animal, it's a little different than a steer, so,
Yep, absolutely.
pretty dense, so I don't have any more questions. Good thing.
Make a motion, move forward the consideration of approving the Gratiot County Livestock Emergency Response Trailer and Team Mutual Aid Agreement. Authorize the board chairperson to sign.
I will support that. Any more discussion? So now we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by aye.
I,
Opposed, the same. The motion has passed, and we will move that forward to the work session.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Okay.
And Mark has joined us
Oh, he is there. You
just in time.
got moved to the back of the line because you were late.
I appreciate it. I apologize for that. I had my agenda wrong today. That's all my fault. I was gonna show up at 5. So I've got interviews all day today and a staff meeting from 4 to 6. And I said yesterday, I gotta leave the staff meeting and go catch up with CJ, but apparently it's at 9. So my error totally. Sorry about that.
It's not even a Monday, sir.
It's like a Monday.
Thanks for flexing and hopping on, Mark. I would have probably slaughtered this item.
No, not a problem at all.
Okay, we got Director Griffith on to consider approving the Motorola Finance final acceptance certificate for the 911 council and project, and authorize board chairman to sign the same. And Director, you're up.
Okay, so and just kind of covering the background, you know, this has been a long project in around October of 2019. We had a lightning strike at the center. Today, I'm delighted to report that through insurance and the recovery, we have now completed the project. There's been a lot of issues over the time with logistics to get parts and things to get installed, and then things to be correctly tweaked. And so after all of that, we now have the radio operating the way we would like it to operate. We have our ancillary systems online that we're very comfortable with. I've checked it twice with the staff. So with that being said, we are now comfortable with officially recommending that we sign off and close this project out.
We are as good or better than we were.
Yes, this is a new and improved system. Our previous one was called a MC 5500. This one is the MCC 7500E, which is supposed to be the latest and greatest radio system. We have 5 positions here in the center now, so that's been great because it's expanded one spot for our supervisors, especially times when crisis hits. Now we can have 5 on the CAD. So that's exceptionally helpful from that end of it. So it's the latest and greatest technology. Along with this project, we upgraded some of our infrastructure, which was our recording solutions. So that's going well. Now monitored by the state, tied into the state. This project will also integrate with the new tower that is coming outside, the great project that we have coming for Isabella County. That's going to improve the police, fire, and EMS communications within our county, more importantly, inner buildings and stuff within hopefully Union Township, City of Mount Pleasant.
So how was your experience with your insurance company?
They've been great to work with on the big projects that we have dealt with. I can't say a single thing That's been an obstacle. We've also had over my tenure, siren or two that's been hit, and they've been right on the spot to ask us any questions that they need to be able to process the claim, and they've processed the claims. So very, very
Ongoing for a long time. I think MMRMA has been fantastic. I remember when they sent out the adjuster, it was before COVID. Remember, Mark, he had
Right.
went on a vacation and COVID hit and the world, well, we all know, been crazy. So this has been happening for a long time, but because the equipment that we had was no longer available, it was such an upgrade. MMRMA did look at it for a little while to say, is this really a replacement? Because it, like Mark said, it's the latest and greatest, but Motorola doesn't sell last year's model anymore, right? So this was the replacement. Hell of an upgrade for us, $1 million claim with MMRMA, so they really stepped up. And they've been patient with us for a couple of years now on not signing off on this final acceptance until Mark is satisfied that what we have is as good or better than what we had. So congratulations for hanging in there, Mark.
Yeah, and in the last part of the delay, which I'm pleased again to say that the county's been able to provide this in cooperation with our schools, was making sure that our school emergency radio system was available and working. So all of our school buildings have emergency radio at their front desks within their schools, and they can reach 911 directly if there is an issue for some reason, if they can't reach the phone or any other opportunities that they would have. So, and the schools do an amazing job working with the emergency management and stuff and 911 because we test it. The sheriff's a big part of helping set that list up and test every month to try to make sure they're familiar with it, that everything's working and we get right on. It's very similar to like our siren system that we test. When the siren goes down, it takes a while to get the parts and fix it for sure. But right on the spot with keeping things plugged in, people help us in the community to know when the sirens aren't working, and we greatly appreciate that as well.
Well, I'm glad it's up and running. I said, and here, that's not the only thing. The parts are hard to get for everything anymore. So hopefully supply chain will get caught up because there's still a lot of issues out there. So.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is.
Always a great day when you can say a project's finished.
Yes.
Amen.
All right, I'll make a motion, move forward to consideration approving the Motorola final acceptance certificate for the 911 console project and authorize the board chair to sign.
I will support that. Any more discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. The motion has passed. We'll move that forward to the work session. And
Thank you. Sir. Apologize again for my lateness. Have a good one.
Good luck with your interviews, Mark.
Thank
Probably
you.
would have gone up at 5 though. Okay. So announcements, any announcements?
I have none.
No, sir.
Okay, and that I will open up to call to the public. We have a person that would like to,
Mr. Lovely, do you have a?
No, I'm here for a meeting afterwards.
Okay. So I'm bringing something to you that it hasn't even gone to,
state your
finance.
name and give.
Are you limiting him?
This night-
Well,
Do you want me to start the
citizen.
timer?
No, go ahead.
I'm bringing something that hasn't quite been presented yet in a formal manner to Finance Administration, but I have talked to Chairman Hope and Commissioner Embry, who's on the committee, to have them get some buy-in. So we decided this is something we didn't want to do on our own. We knew that the committees wanted to have a little bit more say in areas that they're responsible for. But I've been going to these education sessions for the millage, and I know the sheriff has indicated that I think he strongly supports if the millage goes down, looking back at maybe going for a public safety millage in August. And he's had some issues with the $1.5 million that we budgeted, part of that 6 million for the wage study. So I was trying to think of, is there a way we can address that wage study separate, that we could reduce the millage amount for public defenders? And I know when I started with the county, I was employed for 13 years. My first year was 1985, and when I came, the county's work schedule was 37 and a half hours a week, which it currently still is. So sometime before 1985, the County Board of Commissioners probably had budget constraints and reduced the work schedule to be able to have some savings. And so I'm thinking, is this a possibility moving forward that we might be able to adjust our work schedule for savings, but maybe there's some other advantages. But I need to have input, the committee needs to have input from all the departments and elected officials. So I put together a sheet here with some considerations. What I'm thinking is, if you go to number one, our current schedule is a 5-day work week, 7.5 hours a day. So that's a 37.5 hours a week. So I'm thinking, what about moving to a 4-day work week? I mean, I've been reading on the internet that there's more and more interest in going to a shorter work week. I don't know if that's because of millennials or what, but there seems some interest nationwide. But if we go to a 4-day work week, we can look at an 8-hour day, that's 32 hours. And that was going to have some savings. It would give us money in the budget, even if the millage fails, to address the wage study, which I think would be a disaster if it fails and we still can't do anything. We have to get rid of it. I think we have said to the employees that we're going to try our best. Well, this may be one way that by reducing the hours, still providing adjustments where they're warranted, that we can implement the wage study. And maybe in the future, if there's some desire, we could go back to a longer schedule. And I'm not saying we need to go down to 32 hours. Maybe we can go down to a schedule where we add 1 or 2 days with an extended schedule. So we have some evening hours for county residents who can't make it during the workday because they're working, to come in 1 day a week, a little bit later to get their whatever they need. It could be that we go to a 32-hour schedule and we take 1 8-hour day and we shift it by 1 or 2 hours. So you get some evening hours, but you start late in the morning. These are all just considerations. The other thing is that every county function may not be able to participate. I mean, we have public safety, central dispatch. Fortunately, central dispatch has its own source of funds, and so it could do that. And I know after my presentation to the Human Resources and Committee, I had Community Development Director come over to me and said he's having a hard time hiring inspectors. Well, he's the enterprise fund. So that would be another thing that maybe would need to be taken into consideration. He would have some additional abilities to take care of what his services are. So we need to have that input. Is it possible to continue a full level of existing services for a shortened work week? If not, what services would need to be eliminated? I know I've heard several times from the Register of Deeds that she's a revenue producing department. Well, can she still be a revenue producing department on a shorter work week, or would she have to give up some of that? What other impacts for services would come from the various offices and departments? On the financial considerations, the cost to implement the wage study could be offset by a reduced work schedule. That impact would favor employees underpaid because they probably would be basically to get a pay increase, but end up getting maybe close to what they're currently being paid, but for a shorter work week. But if you have an employee that is being paid at the study's findings or below, they're going to actually have a pay cut in addition to a shorter work week. The cost of the county budget for employees to work beyond a shortened work week schedule would still be paid in straight wages up until 40 hours. Because overtime doesn't come in until you have 40 hours. And that even the case now with a 37.5-hour work week. So some of those departments that need to have a longer schedule the pay would still be at the flat schedule rate until you get beyond 40 hours. What savings might there be for building utility costs, electrical, gas, water, sewer, if we close the building 1 day a week? Now, we're not gonna be able to shut utilities off because we still need to cool and heat, but we could reduce set points and maybe have a savings. Would a 4-day work week become a personal recruiting and advantage a tool for the county? Would it be a disadvantage for the county? Holiday schedules, we need to adjust that so employees maintain the same number of annual days off, because if a holiday falls on a Saturday or a Sunday, we do the Monday or Friday thing. We may have to adjust it to a Thursday or a Tuesday, depending on how we adopt a standard schedule. Even with the modified work schedule, the savings will not eliminate the need for significant cuts to selected non-mandated general fund departments. And no matter how we've looked at it, there's no way that we're going to get to the $6 million that we're going to need without almost totally eliminating the sheriff's department road patrol. And I'm sure there's going to be significant cuts to other areas of the budget to get to that 6 million. But if we're able to save $1.5 million, road patrol contributes about 3.7. We're getting close. We're getting to about $700,000 shortfall to meeting that $6 million. And, you know, in the back of my mind, I've got ideas where I can come up with half of that already. It's going to be a decision of all 7 commissioners. What are the impacts to tax millage supported departments or enterprise funds, or where you have a fee attached? We have 4 of those, and that's Central Dispatch, Parks and Recreation, Commission on Aging, and Community Development. They're going to have a little bit more ability to adjust their schedule. I know Parks and Recreation, their summer staff works 40-hour work weeks just because that needs for the schedule. But they're going to have a little bit more freedom to work within any schedule that the county board would adopt. We need to modify for that. Are there any state of Michigan constitutional or legislative requirements that may apply? I don't know what the applications are for the register of deeds, for public defender's office, for any of those. And public defender's office too is pretty much, you might consider that an enterprise fund, even though we contribute $250,000 or so to it. But, you know, they have an ability. But it's just a thought. And then public relations considerations, you know, how can this, if we decide to move in this direction, how can this be sold to the public? They're going to be looking at this as, okay, we're not going to have access to county services for 1 day a week. But to have those services such as we have them now, we need to have the millage. If we don't get the millage, we have to make the cuts, and we're trying to think out of the box. So I'm just throwing this out. I'm thinking there's probably things that should be on this list that I didn't think about. I just threw it together last night. Excuse me. It's something that I think the process would be county administrator would share this with department heads, elected officials meetings, maybe feedback coming to the committees to hash it out, and maybe at an annual goal setting session, this would be one of the major points where we could address this. Not going into targeted cuts until after the election, because we don't want to be seemingly threatening. Although it's already out there, obviously, that road patrols.
Well, but I think this is a nice way to spread it out over more rather than targeting. You know, obviously, there's going to be some things that have to go, but this is a nice way to spread the burden out across as many departments as we can. Right?
And
So-
I do think probably we'll have to, you know, either department heads will have to figure out on the mandated services if what the allowances are. So
Mhm.
are we allowed, or they have to be open certain amount?
Right. We've got a pretty comprehensive list of the mandated services. We just need to figure out which employees are performing those services. And that's actually a part of the wage study.
Does the state require certain amount of office hours.
Right, I will look into that.
Yeah,
I'll look into that.
That's
To see if there, if,
number of days per week.
right,
or something, yeah.
I'm obviously,
I'm sure there's some regulation someplace that tells you have to do this if they give you money, but maybe not. So,
as far as our operations, I will look. I know if we get down into where we're. Right now, we cut off health insurance benefits at 80 hours a week, essentially, right? So. We just have to be careful, I think, not going lower than that. We wouldn't
With
want,
the,
we wouldn't want to jeopardize anyone's benefits.
right, what is that?
30 hours.
30 hours. Okay. But you know, no matter what we're gonna do, people are gonna be hurt. There's no way that we get around that. We don't wanna do it. But you're right, this kind of spreads that burden in a way that everybody has part of that,
kind of similar to 14.
part of the solution. And those employees that maybe might be losing income, or maybe would be income attentive on this. I can tell you, my daughter teaches, full-time teacher at Shepherd Elementary. She works 2 gig jobs and makes more in her gig jobs than teaching. And my son-in-law works 3 gig jobs and makes a decent living. So there are opportunities to, you know, if you have another day out, that if you want to put it into other employment. But anyhow, I'm throwing this out on the table. This will be part of our finance administration today, so that we formally look into this, but we need to have the help of the committees to find out what is good and what is bad about it. Thank you.
Well, we marked it up some, so.
I
We'll go through
saw
it.
you scratched at it.
It's new, so.
There's another one.
There you go, thanks. We will look into it, see what we can add or.
And the only reason I brought it up before we had formal action at the finance, we're getting so close, we need to start working on this. We don't have that many weeks to go off. This is gonna be one of the early things that we'll have to consider if that fails.
Okay, is there any more public comment at this time? Seeing,
One online.
seeing, none, I'll close the public comment and adjourn the meeting. Thank you.